Starfleet, explorers of the galaxy, defenders of worlds and very indecisive wardrobe stylists. Yes, Starfleet seems to go through more uniform designs than Neelix does obscure alien recipes. But which design is best? I'm sure we've all got our own views on this, but I'm going to give you mine. I'm Phil, and here's 10 Starfleet uniforms ranked. But first, here's an honorary wooden spoon award for terrible uniform design. Yes, here we have Time Agent Daniels as seen on Enterprise. He's sporting for us today a design that can only be described as a reject from that rough-looking S&M dungeon in Soho. It's honorary because technically it's not a Starfleet uniform, but I really couldn't do this list without mentioning its awfulness. If this is what we'll be dressing like in the 31st century, I'm glad I'll be long gone. So, in the official last place on this list, we have the uniforms from the Next Generation. This uniform had two versions, both of which caused problems for the cast. For the first 2 years, it was composed of an all-in-one spandex number. Flattering. Beyond this aesthetic problem though, it actually caused back problems for lead actor Patrick Stewart, whose doctor made him insist on a change to a two-piece costume. This slightly changed the form and material, but the pattern design was the same, and I know I've always found it a bit odd looking with its large, angular blocks of colour. I'm sure it has its fans though. At number 9, we got the uniforms from the motion picture. I mean, it's just a bit bland, isn't it? This whole film is very white and beige. Much like the pace and tone of the film, it seems to draw a lot of inspiration from those more slow-paced, thoughtful sci-fis of the era, 2001, etc. And it's again, not very flattering. I mean, I wouldn't want to wear one if I had a bit of a beer belly. At least the darker shades of future uniforms are more slimming. And number 8, the uniform from the unaired pilot Star Trek The Cage. Now, yeah, these are very similar to the original series uniforms, but it's the big chunky collars that made me want to separate these out and give them a widely different ranking. They basically make it look like the cringeworthy jumper your mum bought and made you wear when you were 5. Also, don't they get hot in those? I bet the lead actors did under the studio lights. At number 7, we have the uniforms from Enterprise. These were functional and smart. They looked like they were an evolution of current naval or flight uniforms. They had actual pockets. I don't know, they just made sense. I still can't quite get over my dislike of jumpsuits enough to put them any higher though. At number 6, we have the Voyager/early DS9 costumes. Voyager was the first Star Trek series I watched every episode of from the very beginning to the very end. It's not my favourite Star Trek series, but it does hold a nostalgic place in my heart, as does its costume. It was a vast improvement on the TNG era uniforms, but it did feel like an evolution of that design, by flipping the colour schemes and having the colour element as the smaller shoulder section. And number 5, the uniforms from the most recent Star Trek series, Discovery. The fact that this series is set so close to the events of The Cage, and yet the uniforms are so vastly different, bugs me slightly. I prefer evolution in my uniform designs, not revolution, and this doesn't even share the departmental colour coding that is only a few years away in continuity. Although given the Season 2 trailer that's just been released after I scripted this video, thank you CBS, it looks like this might be explained in the upcoming season.
Hidden.
But anyway, continuity aside, it's a pretty nifty design. It looks practical, and yet still more futuristic than the practical Enterprise uniforms looked. Number 4 is a bit of a curveball, it's Star Trek Online's uniform. Should probably preface this with the omission that I've never actually played Star Trek Online, but I've seen screenshots and some gameplay video, and yeah, I like the uniforms. Set after all of the TV shows and movies in the Prime timeline, this feels like a good blend of Voyager uniforms and later DS9 uniforms, utilising shoulder area of colour but smaller and with darker tones, reflecting the continued state of conflict the Federation keeps finding itself in. And number 3, we've got Star Trek The Original Series / the Abrams verse. I bet I've annoyed some people by lumping those two together. But you know what? You are completely entitled to your opinion and I respect your right to have it. I'm still doing it though. Look, they're basically the same design and this list is only so long. The uniform's functional, not overly fancy, it's easy to identify who is in what department, and it's bright and happy. And who can begrudge some bright colour in this grey depressing world we live in? Sorry, got a bit deep there. Back to bright colours. Number 3, all the same bright colour in fact. I think I like this one because it looks very formal. I know it's got its downside, it's probably not always the most practical in combat situations, or when you need to run. And yeah, everyone from every department kind of looks the same, but... Oh, okay, I put it this high because I think I could pull off wearing this one. Okay? Happy? And yeah, bright colours and stuff, which, as I said, I think are good. Or do I think that? Because I put this beauty at number 1. It's like I'm a multifaceted human being capable of holding multiple, sometimes conflicting preferences at the same time or something. Despite echoing the form of its predecessor, the shoulder and upper chest section are now a dark, ribbed area, with only a hint of colour on the undershirt visible at the neck. These just felt so slick and gritty at the time and perfectly fit with the shifting tone of DS9 to one of all-out war. And yeah, DS9 is my favourite Star Trek series, so probably contributes to the placing on this list. That's just my ranking. You might disagree. You almost certainly disagree. So what would top your list? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe and all that jazz for more geeky pop culture videos from me. See you next time.